Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome to the show. Tonight I got a report on a volcano. Volcano probably a lot of people hasn't even heard of before. It's near Manila in the Philippines. It's called the Taal volcano. Taal, I guess they call it Taal? I don't know. Taal. Let's get right in there and let's open up the charts right here. The Taal volcano. Why this is important and why I'm doing this show on this tonight is because this is not an ordinary volcano. This is a big one. A big volcano. And I'm going to point that out later in the show, just how big this volcano is. It says lava has gushed out of a volcano in the Philippines after a sudden eruption, and an ash of steam and forced villagers to leave and shut down the country's main airport, offices, and schools. Now, the scientists right now, it says, are warning of a hazardous eruption imminent as offices and schools and airports are closed. Now, there's an awful lot of people live in Manila. It's not far away. Let's take a look here at the size of the Taal volcano right here, and its area and proximity to Manila. Now we see Mount Pinatubo. They got it is just slightly to the north of Manila, and Taal is even closer than Pinatubo. Taal is just to the south of Manila, in the Philippines. That's the area where it's at. Now there's a heavy, dense population through the Philippines, especially around Manila. Manila is a huge city in the Philippines. But I'm concerned not just with the Philippines, because if a volcano of this size and magnitude were to really blow its top and blow its top hard, it can put ash up into the upper atmosphere, you know? And that ash can circle around the Earth and cause a cooling effect to the whole Earth. Quite seriously, this can actually happen. That's what they're worried about, with Yellowstone, because Yellowstone is a monster volcano. And if it were to really blow hard, like the eruption we had thousands of years ago, it could cause the whole Earth to cool. And we're talking about quite serious cooling here, and a cooling effect of the entire Earth, to the point where crops wouldn't come in. I think this volcano, perhaps, if it really blew hard, if the whole area blew, in other words, we're going to compare sizes here. Because not all volcanoes are the same. People think of volcanoes, they think they're all the same. But volcanoes vary in size, just like pieces of fruit, You got a piece of fruit the size of a grape, And then you got fruit the size of an orange. And then you got fruit the size of a watermelon. We'll see. What we're looking at here is they're measured. They measure them in kilometers squared times 3. And I'm going to show you guys that in a minute. That's how they measure the size of these volcanoes. Now, Yellowstone's it's a watermelon. And size volcano. If it was a piece of fruit, it would be a watermelon-sized volcano. And if it were to blow really hard, we get I'm talking about Yellowstone. If it were to blow really hard, blow its top, it could take out all of North America. Be under feet of ash, several feet of ash. And, I'm going to tell you, when ash gets like a foot deep, say you were away from Yellowstone, say you were like 500 miles away from it, and the ash come down, it was like 2 feet deep everywhere. It'll get you. You can even hide in your house, you can have a face mask on, it'll get you. It's glass particles. And it chokes you. It quite literally chokes you. So, Yellowstone, if it threw all that ash up into the atmosphere, we would have what they call like a nuclear winter for like 4 years. The Earth would cool down and you wouldn't be able to get crops in. It would be snow all summer. you know, if Yellowstone were to blow really hard. Now, how does this volcano compare in size in global volcanoes? We're going to take a look here, how it compares in size. And this chart's going to give you guys an idea of the size ranges of volcanoes and how they measure them. They measure them in something called KM3. That's what they measure them in, as far as my research is showing me here tonight. Now, on this chart here, we can see a small volcano might be like 0.0001. Now, you guys know from Bitcoin, you know what 0.0000. So 0.00001 km3 would be a small volcano. Now, when you move up to 0.001 km3, then it's a little bit bigger volcano. And when you move up to 0.01 km3, it's a little bit bigger again. When you move up to 0.1 km3, you're getting a little bit bigger again. And when you move up to 1 km3, that's just like 1 Bitcoin, you know, that's the size of Mount St. Helens. So 1 km3 is the size of Mount St. Helens, okay? Now, Mount Pinatubo, which I guess is just to the north of Manila, is 10 km3. So that's a big one, Mount Pinatubo, 10 km3. Now, Mount Tambora is 100 km3. Okay? Getting the idea? Yellowstone is 1,000 km3. They couldn't even put it on the chart here. It makes such a big round orange. Like I say, it's a watermelon size. Now, Tambora would be a orange size, and Mount St. Helens would be the size of a grape. Well, how big is this volcano we're looking at here? Well, I tried to find information on it, and information's hard to find about how big it is, but I found this chart here, World Lake Database, and it's got Mount Tambora on it here. World Lake Database, International Lake Environment Committee, and they're showing Mount Tambora here in the Philippines. So it says it's in the Philippines, and it is volume is 23.42 km3. That's what I'm seeing on here. The surface area is 234 km2. So the volume here, it says is 23.42 km3. So I'm not exactly sure if that's the size of the volcano, but this is the information that I come up with here. I think that's the size of the volcano, 23.42 km3. So let's go back to our chart again here. Where is it? Just give me a second. I had it here. This is a second, guys. I want to find it. Where was our chart? Maybe it was on this page? No. Here's our chart. Okay? So it was 23 km3, and so it's over double, I guess, the size of Pinatubo. Mount St. Helens is only 1 km3. So at 23 km3, it's 23 times the size of Mount St. Helens. Okay? But it's not as big as Yellowstone. Yellowstone's 1,000. You know? And so it would be bigger than Pinatubo at 10 km3. It's a big one. 23 times the size of Mount St. Helens, I would say, is a big volcano. So would that be enough if that thing blew off into the atmosphere really hard? Would that be enough to cause a cooling of the Earth's surface? I have a lot of questions about this volcano right now, but it's getting ready to blow, guys. Now, here's another thing I want to talk about. is Yellowstone. Yellowstone, has been building up pressure since the 1920s. There's ample evidence that it's building up a big lava pool underneath it. And of course, it could blow tomorrow morning, but then again, it might be another 30 years or 40 years. But I personally believe that it's building up pressure. It's getting ready to give trouble, like this volcano. There's been an awful lot of volcano activity lately in the past year or two, I'm not really exactly sure what it's all related to, but suffice to say that at over twice the size of Mount Pinatubo, and that's what I'm getting here in the Taal Volcano, and it could be a real monster, and it's got this lake around it, Now, here's what I want to know. I got a few questions about this. Look at this lake. Let's get right in here and take a look at this lake. Now, here's a volcano right in here, the Taal Volcano, right in the center of this lake. Okay? Now, if we zoom out a little bit, could it be that this entire lake, it looks like a blast, like it's been blown away? It looks like the whole lake was blown away at one time. Perhaps, if we come down and look at it, am I wrong about this, guys? But this sure does look like this whole area right here is blasted away. Like, see the kind of circle around here going all the way out to, I can't pronounce the name, Tagaytay, Tagaytay, on one side of it to the north, and all the way down to Quenca on the south here. You see this giant? It looks like a giant crater to me. What's it look like to you guys? It looks like at some time in the prehistoric past, maybe, I don't know, maybe 100,000 years ago or something, that it blew out this whole thing. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like this whole Taal Lake, Taal Lake, is a giant volcanic depression. And of course, then we have the Taal Volcano right in the middle of the whole thing. Doesn't that look like that to you guys? Come on, that's what it looks like to me. Looks like this whole lake was blowing out at one time. Can you imagine the size of the explosion that would blow out that entire lake? This is a really nice map right here. Now, where is Manila on this? Let's zoom out. We should be able to find Manila. There's Manila, just to the north of that entire lake. Let's go down a little bit. Okay, there's Manila right there. And we can see it's a big city. If we zoom in on Manila, here's Manila. Let's zoom in a little bit further. And we can see the suburbs extend way out here. Way out to about here. And then just down to the south of it. Just a sec. Is the volcano. Here it is here. Here's the volcano. I'm going to tell you guys, if it were to blow out an area the size it blew out that lake, that Taal Lake, of course, I don't think that's likely. Very unlikely that would ever happen, But that sure does look like a giant crater to me, the whole lake area. It's all depressed down. You can see, it looks like this place called Laurel right here. Let me just zoom in on this. Laurel right here. Zoom out a little bit. It looks like that whole area has been blowing out. Maybe a long, long time ago. And it looks like the center of the whole thing is this Taal Volcano. I don't know, guys, Manila's just up here to the north of it, not very far away. And what do we got, like 14 million or something people? That could get serious, Listen, thank you guys for listening to this report. I know I kind of went a little bit slow toward the end here on it, but it's fascinating to me, these volcanoes, what the power that they have. So we got to keep our eye on this volcano. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.